Probably tripped me off. I got two sons that served in the military. One spent a year in Iraq, came home with a traumatic brain injury. Are we damned if they're going to call my son a terrorist? He gave up a full ride 4-year scholarship to enlist to protect our country. I'll go down fighting for my sons.
Well, we thank you for your family sacrifice.
Thank you.
All right. Our next speaker is someone who definitely knows what the real world is like. She's a local nurse and a mom of 2. Please give a very warm welcome to Miss Marilyn Parker.
I'm just a mom without a teleprompter. I'm really nervous to do this. I mean, my heart is pounding, my palms are sweaty, my knees are knocking.
You're going to do great! You're going to do great!
But that's just how I get when I start thinking about this $10 trillion deficit.
Yeah!
I'm a mama bear whose cubs are threatened.
Yes.
10 years from now, I do not want to have to apologize to my children that I understood, I knew what the consequences were going to be, and I did nothing.
Yes. Yes.
I am watching my country disintegrate right before my very eyes.
Yes.
I'm here today because I am married to an intelligent, hardworking, tax-paying,
Yes.
small business owner whose business is in cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
I'm here today because I am a Christian. I know that my country was framed on Judeo-Christian principles. Given to us by every single one of our founding fathers. I am tired of liberal special interest groups trying to take God out of my country, out of Washington, out of the Pledge of Allegiance, off of our currency, out of our public school systems, out of our universities, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and they are attempting to silence conservative and Christian radio. Boo. I'm here today because I'm a political geek. My friends tell me I am obsessed, and I tell them I do not know how you can afford not to be. I'm a firm believer that if you do not know history and you are not paying attention, then history is doomed to repeat itself. This economic debacle was started with a tenet of socialism. In 1999, a liberal special interest group took the Community Reinvestment Act, started under the Carter administration, put it on steroids, took it to Congress, lobbied Congress to force banks to give out loans to low-income, no-income, high-risk borrowers. The banks, being conservative in nature, refused. This same group went back to Congress and re-lobbied Congress for Fannie and Freddie, the government's own private piggy banks, to back up these loans. And they did. Janet Reno was the Attorney General at the time, and she cracked the whip. She threatened to redline the banks for discrimination if they did not give out a certain quota of these loans. Weirdly enough, Bill Clinton signed off on the deregulation. But we were living in the booming 90s with a booming housing industry, the dot-com bubble, a Republican Congress, a moderate president who worked together to reform welfare. There were no 9/11s, no wars, no natural disasters, and cheap fuel. With this kind of environment, the social tenet was that everybody should have a right to own a home. Tenet was that everybody should have a right to own a home. Since when is it everyone entitled to own a home?
No.
Congress was warned in 2003 with the McCain-Hagel bill that this would be a disaster if there was an economic downturn. Barney Frank is still in Washington.
Get him out! Get him out! Get him out!
A tenet of socialism had begun. The government trying to socially engineer where they did not belong, just like they're trying to do now, except exponentially 10 times worse.
Yes.
$12 trillion worth of debt over 10 years is not a stimulus, it is an agenda.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Hillary Clinton and Rahm Emanuel both stated never let a good crisis go to waste.
Yes.
And believe me, they haven't. $50 million to fund for the arts, $50 million to study a field mouse in San Francisco, $200 million for STD research, $400 million to ACORN, paybacks to the unions, paybacks to AIG by Christopher Dodd, extensions for unemployment, instead of doing what they needed to do to save jobs right then, right now, right then, right now.
Yes.